So another video from Razgrease 2006 on PB Nation. One thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to dm14s or dyes in general is you always get people on the forums who ask, well, what's the best lube to use? Well, here's the thing. When it comes to dye matrices, we have this fancy thing called an LPR. So if our lube isn't right or if it's subpar, we can just turn up this LPR and it'll make a lot of issues go away. That's why I really like having an LPR. So when it comes to deciding the best lube for your marker, sometimes it's hard to know because the dye is going to kind of overcome any problems with your lube. That being said, there are other markers out there that do not have LPRs that are very, very sensitive to how good or bad their lubricants are. And there are some very smart, very talented, very educated people who owned shockers back in the day. This is back from 2006, who did an extensive lubricant test. And what they found was really illuminating. You know, they took all of my printer sucks. They took all of these readings with all of these lubricants, and they really found an answer to what's the best lubricant. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I've been on the forums, since 2006. I've been playing paintball since a little bit before then. I've heard everything from hater sauce, slick honey, monkey poo, something smells like bananas, Lurker lube, dye slick, sleek, Planet Eclipse grease. I believe now GOG makes grease instead of sleek. It's all this. Anything that has 33 in the name is just Dow 33, which is made by Owens Corning, who developed a special silicone-based grease for different applications. So anyway, getting into it, to kind of give you the short story, Dow 33 or dye slick is fine. It will work better than most of the lubricants out there because it's made for that application. That being said, there are certain attributes to Lurker lube that makes it, in my opinion, the best lubricant for dye matrices, and according to these guys' opinion, the best lubricant for shockers as well. And because Luxes basically have shocker bolts, then Luxes and Vanquishes. So some of the things about Lurker lube, since that is the one that I decided is the best, is Lurker lube has PTFE particles in it, which you may not know right offhand what that is. Basically, it's Teflon. And what these Teflon particles do is, I know it's hard for you to tell at the camera, but basically the Teflon particles impart themselves into the pits and dimples in the metal, and over time it actually seasons the bolt to make it wet even when there's not lubricant on it. So what you see here, and this is my DM14 bolt, it's not totally seasoned yet, but my PM8 bolt, I put so many cases through it. I almost don't have to lubricate it anymore because it's always wet. This is a benefit that Lurker lube gives you. So just to kind of go through some of these numbers that they found on this test. For FPS consistency, Slick Honey had a plus or minus 10, Hater Sauce plus or minus 5, Shocker and Lurker lube both had a plus or minus 3. Plus or minus 3 is within, that's really within what regulators and paint, that's kind of within error right there. Time needed before relubrication, Dow 33, 5,550 cycles, so almost 3 cases. Slick Honey, about 1.5 cases. Lurker lube, they did 5 cases on it, and it still didn't need lubed, so they stopped testing. That's pretty amazing. Hater Sauce went through 3,450 cycles, so about 1.5 cases. So, and then when it comes to cold temp consistency, Dow 33 was plus or minus 5, Lurker was plus or minus 3, Hater Sauce was plus or minus 7, and Slick Honey was plus or minus 22 in the cold. Now, obviously, you can overcome the plus or minus by turning up your LPR in the cold, and that's what a lot of people do on their own anyway. But the thing is for all the people out there who say Slick Honey's the best, look, just because it goes like this in between your fingers better than something else does not mean it's better for your paintball gun. There's so many other factors at play, such as O-ring fitment, sealing, and how long it stays on the bolt, whether it gets shot down the barrel. Slick Honey was made for bikes. Keep it on bikes. There's a lot of money and a lot of research and development that's went into making the best lubricant. Owens Corning pretty much got it with Dow 33, and then Lurker took it a step farther, because Lurker lube is basically Dow 33 with some Teflon in it. It's got all the same properties. So that's kind of my spiel or my rant when it comes to lubricants. I haven't used every lubricant. I haven't used Monkey Poo. I haven't used Militia Lube, but Dye says use Dow 33. You should use Dow 33. And finally, when it comes to hater sauce, all right, that stuff smells like axle grease. I'm pretty sure it is axle grease, and you can read about horror stories about it getting everywhere in the solenoid and dripping. And if you get an old thing of hater sauce, you can hold it next to you and see where some of the oil they've mixed in to make it thin is separating from whatever it is that's also in it. So please don't put hater sauce in your DM. Please don't put Slick Honey in your DM. Just use regular Dye Slick, or if you're feeling adventurous and you want that extra 5% performance, use Lurker Lube.